What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Elephant in the Room, part of Disrupt the Media Roll Tide Pods on YouTube. Make sure that you guys get in the comments section and throw those comments at us. We love that. Like and subscribe. Thumbs up says Roll Tide. And we really appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with us on our show as we talk Alabama football with Jake Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. I want to tell you guys this. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Up to $1,000 price match, 50% if you use the promo code next round. So NFL playoffs this weekend. Obviously, the Ravens and the Chiefs is the definitely the featured matchup. I'm just kidding. The Lions and the 49ers, another game. But who's going to go to the Super Bowl? You can bet on that and a bunch of other cool stuff. NASCAR, NBA basketball, college basketball. How about Alabama's win over Auburn this week? So they do all of that there. And if you need any help, check out our man Lance's Lock, lanceslock.com, and he'll be able to give you guys all the information that you need on things. He's on another heater, and he can help you out at lanceslock.com. All right, Jake Coker and Mick Gillispie. Jake, I feel like there's a lot to talk about right now.
I feel like there's an elephant in the room.
It certainly does, man. What a week.
Just weird and coincidental, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I should just like lay it out. if you missed it, we had Alphonse Taylor. Everyone knows as Shank. You know, it's short for meat shank, right? Shank hams. You know about shank hams? So, I mean, some people think shank like prison shank, but that's meat shank from maybe being a big kid. I'm telling you, I guarantee it. And you know, he needed offensive lineman. You know that I love him, man. I can't get enough of his stories. Man. And for a guy that I've always just really liked, to have him in here the other day was awesome.
I mean, I've known it. Again, I've known Shank since, I think I was a senior in high school. Yeah, I was a senior in high school when we first met at Florida State. He was being recruited by Florida State, was committed to Florida State for a while, and thought I was going to get a Mobile guy over at Florida State with me, and things didn't work out, thankfully, for both of us. Got to play with him in Alabama, but known him for a long time, and you know where he comes from, know what kind of perseverance he has, and you know, you don't meet too many guys that are just that transparently themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm. He's exactly like I thought he was going to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, yeah, what you see on Twitter is what you get, and that's what's coming across his mind.
Yeah, I enjoyed
it. It is uncut.
Yeah, I enjoyed the old uncut. What did he call it? He was like Shank uncut. Yeah, now he's a high school coach. Man, I just enjoyed that last show, man. Like, that was one of my favorites, you know. And it's honestly, when Ryan's here, it's fun too. You know, I have fun with you. Like, all of them are fun.
Oh yeah,
but it's cool when you get people.
We got a good group from Mobile.
Yeah, man. Like the energy that people bring to the table. You know, like where it's like, first off, we're just this podcast is so much different than a lot of the other stuff that we all do. Mm-hmm. And for me in media, because I feel like this is hairs down, you know, drinking a beer. We're just going to talk.
That's, you know, when I guess it was summertime when I was up in Birmingham, and Ryan called me. It's kind of just another coincidental deal. I was headed up there. He called me, see if I could swing by their office, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll do it, but I just want to make sure it's, you know, the right.
Ryan Brown.
Yeah. The right environment, and you know, we're going to do it one way, and
I didn't know this. You were laying it down, huh?
No, not like that.
No, yes, you were. Yes, a little bit.
No, I was not. I was not stern at all. I was just like, I need to do this. I need to do this, but you know, It's not. That was not stern.
I'm just kidding, man. Come on.
I wasn't laying groundwork.
Lay it
those
down.
Guys,
Lay
man,
it
I
down.
had never done this.
Here's
before.
how we're gonna do it. Right, like this.
No, I was just like, I mean, I laid back. Can we just be ourselves?
Can we just have fun?
Yeah,
have fun?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I was like, I'm not putting a whiteboard up on the wall and talking about it.
Right.
We're just shooting the shit and having a good time.
Yeah,
you know? And anyway,
well, how about when I saw you? I was like, it's gonna be the best 2 hours of the week. You're probably like, who the fuck's this dude? Who's this guy?
Yeah, no, but it you know, it has turned out it's an awesome, you know, just hang out and shoot shit and talk about whatever.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you, man. I mean, I really do.
Well, I
like,
appreciate that.
It's
I
like
look forward to seeing you too.
Yeah,
buddy.
like it's like you roll up and I'm like, man, this is gonna be fun. Like next week, I'm gonna be in the Keys, unfortunately for you. But we'll do
tough times.
Yeah,
tough times.
I can't wait to get my Hawaiian shirts back on and get a little tan. I'm taking the carb diet down with me, which the fish better watch out. But we'll still do it, man. We'll still do it. We'll just find the time and do the digital. But being in person is great, you know. And the coincidences are so crazy, you know, like having Ryan Anderson on, and you know, I'd met him at a comedy show. I know his agent, you know.
Oh yeah.
His agents is friends with some of my friends, like, you know, small world stuff.
Oh yeah. And then we meet in Atlanta.
Yeah. You and me in Atlanta. Yeah. And then Shank, you know, like I've always admired Shank, like from that point of view where I just love people that look, I'm a huge Muhammad Ali fan. You know, I love John Lennon. I like people that just say what they think, man. I don't even always, it's not that I have to agree with what they're saying.
Yeah.
I just like people that are genuinely who they are. You know,
I do too. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just like those kind of people.
Yeah. If you sit down with somebody and talk to them and you feel like you're talking to a genuine person, then I mean, again, there's very few things that are going to make me not like you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd have to say some pretty ridiculous, hateful stuff.
Right.
You know?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I got
egregious.
you. Intelligence with, you know, I told you I was a political science major at Alabama, and we had, I had a guy named Dr. Alzacoffey. And look, I'll be honest, man, I'm a pretty conservative guy with a lot of stuff, probably more, you know, but what's that? And now that I'm thinking of the word, but when it comes to like, I just think everybody's has the right to their own opinion, right?
Oh yeah.
And we would get into these classes, and it was like political psychology and sociology, and we would like disagree on a lot of the principles of the stuff that we agreed on. You know, he was really like progressive, but there was an environment of openness and appreciation. Like if you could get up and tangle with him, which he was tough to tangle with. And I've probably said this before on the podcast, like 40-page papers.
Yeah.
You know, one of my best friends, Kelvin, who we became best friends through that class, you know, we would just get in there, and instead of it being like a toxic debate, it would be a fun debate. You know, we laugh, cut up, you know, turn the class into that, you know, that type of environment. That's what I want here, man. I like it when people come in with a difference of opinion and can talk about it and then tell you why and then listen to what you think. You know, that's kind of what you hope for, whether it's in sports.
That's a normal person to me. I mean, you know, you have a good conversation.
Good, honest debate, man.
Not fun to agree on everything.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
but some people in this day and age, it's hard to find
sickening.
That. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to kind of get to that point where it's like, man, I don't.
Well, social media, as we've seen this week, is also, you know.
Yeah.
I always have you seen that Key and Peele skit where there's two buddies texting?
Hey, Ron? No, that's not it. I love that one. I love that one.
No, but it's two buddies texting, and like it's a normal conversation, but then a guy sends one of the buddies, I think it's Peele, who's texting he'll text something, and then Key is like, getting angry.
No, I haven't seen
and he's
this.
like, he's getting. Oh, you got to watch it.
I love it.
He gets more and more pissed by every text.
Yeah.
And then the guy walks in. And he's like, "Hey, buddy," and he starts explaining the text. And he's like, "Oh, you didn't. That's not what you meant. That's not what you." And he's like, by the end, he's got an axe in his hand, and he puts it down. He's like, "Kill the guy." I mean, communication through text is about the worst form of communication.
Yeah.
You take things the wrong way.
Dude, I had one like that last year. He's like texting with one of the partners that we have on the football show, and we're kind of going back and forth. But I just thought we were having a debate, and then I just get this text like, "Well, we're not going to do anything with you." I'm like, "What?" Pick up the phone, and I'm like, "Same thing, man." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what you thought the conversation was, but obviously it's not what I'm thinking it is. We need to get on the same page, you know? and just know, like, whatever you think I'm thinking isn't what I'm thinking. You know?
Oh yeah,
but that's kind of also like the text part of it. I'm not the best texter. A lot, and who voice texts. I got a buddy that's a psychologist in Athens, Georgia. And I get his text, and they're like a page long. Like, I'm like, man, that's a lot of words to read right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you get those, and you're like, this is a lot of shit to read.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I'm trying to watch, my favorite show on Cinemax and or Max. Now it's called Max. Just, that 10 minutes that I get of where I'm not working, like, look, what is this? Too much texting is bad texting. There's a middle road in there.
I've got a lot of unread texts.
Oh man,
you get one of those texts. It's kind of like now with the voicemail.
Yeah,
you click on it and you can read it. It types out what's said.
Yeah, I love that.
And sometimes I'll just look at a text in the small box on the home screen, and it doesn't finish all the way. I'm like, oh, that's not something I want to read.
No.
Or get involved in.
Yeah. Well, the new text, like, where you can read as people are putting their voicemail down. That, and you can answer. So I'm like famous for doing like voices or impressions, or pretending I'm somebody else on certain people's voicemails. And they'll pick up right in the middle of like a good prank,
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of like hello, this is Colonel Sanders here.
You must have been hell back when you could do the bluff my call or bluff my text.
Dude, yeah.
Call somebody from
prank. There was this CD that came out called Jerky Boys, and it was these guys that were pranking, and it was the best pranks ever, right?
Uh-huh.
They ended up, I think they went to jail for like you couldn't do that, right? But they did it, and they recorded them. But back when it was hard to record, and they were just the best. I bet they would be funny for you even today.
I'm sure.
Just the best pranks. And so we used to do that stuff, Now I don't even know if you can do it now, because they just can tell, and then there's like some kind of way to track you down, even if you don't have your name on it,
Oh yeah.
A lot's changed when it comes to that.
Yeah.
It's hard to get away with crimes these days. Like,
the world gets less and less fun as the years go by.
Yeah. So anyway, so if you guys, I'm sure you guys know, but I got to talk about it.
Yeah.
I got to talk about it. And in a way I want to talk about it, and in another way I don't want to talk about it, but I feel like we do have to address this, because that's what this show's about, man. And so we had Shank in here on Monday. Great. One of the best episodes. We gave you guys almost 3 hours of content. The cash, the cashier too. Oh yeah, the cashier story was making me laugh. Like, Shank giving the insight on all his expertise.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about on there was the way that Shank and I both felt about the Caden Proctor situation, because Shank had put a tweet out. I actually did a whole show on the tweet, and I felt like that Caden Proctor, who had kind of an impromptu interview at a basketball game, and was like, well, the Iowa coaches reached out to me when I wasn't doing well in the SEC. And, and he said something like, that's why I went to Iowa. And people said that's tampering, because it's tampering. That's why. Now, Greg McElroy, who does a show in Birmingham, disagreed with Shank, and I want to get into that in a second. But here was my point. This is why I agreed with Shank. With Shank, you know, I don't even know what his point was. I can't remember what he said, but I'll tell you the way I looked at it, right? Is you and your girlfriend are having trouble, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, here's this other guy over here that's like, you know, he's the counselor. And then all of a sudden they're dating, you know, she's your ex-girlfriend and now she's dating him. Like, Iowa's coaches got exactly what they were looking for.
She said it was harmless.
Yeah. He's just a friend. The whole song about it. I don't even like him. You know what I mean? And so that was my point. And Greg's kind of been on the other end of that. And he's got a show in Birmingham. And he's got, you know, and he's one of the top ESPN analysts, and he's a former quarterback. And no offense to you, Jake, but that 09 team, I've told you that's my favorite team. And it's because I went through all those years of losing, you know, and then went out there and followed that team, like years of ass kickings. And then to go and return the favor, that was the first time. When you guys did it, I had a great time there too. But, you know, that season was just like, I couldn't believe it, you know, like I couldn't believe it. Like, the way that he played against Florida, that game that he had matched up against Tebow, still, I think, one of the best performances of a quarterback. The one hop down the sideline, the pass to Preston Dial, you know, the team effort, because that's still that 2009 matchup between Alabama and Florida, still to me might be the greatest game that Alabama ever played.
Yeah, that was the game that put Alabama on the map.
But think about the teams. Think about the coaches. Think about, like, when you're trying to be, there's a guy, you know, you ever heard of a guy named Ric Flair? He's like is he a 16-time champion? And what does he say? To be the man, you got to beat the man. And for Alabama to be the man again, they had to beat the man, and they beat the man.
Oh yeah.
And they beat him on a big stage. And that was, to me, that was the real championship game. Those were the two best teams. And Alabama lost that game the year before, and I was there as a fan, not as a worker, just as a guy in the section, right, you know, shaking shakers, drunk on bourbon. Okay. and then in 09, like that game means a lot to me. My best friend came down and went to the game with me for the first time ever. You know, like it was just the entire experience, the way he played, that whole team. And then, you know, then eventually, you know, I've gotten to be, you know, great friends with Baron Huber and Mike Johnson from doing broadcasting. A lot of their friends that were on the team, I know. And it's special to me, man. I mean, it is. So with all of that said, was it, I don't know even what day it was, Wednesday. All of a sudden, like, my phone starts like lighting up. You know, Greg,
all the tones you can
you know what I mean? Like, and I'm out, you know, I'm doing my walk, and it's like, it's an hour and a half walk, and I'm like on the phone with this guy, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to get off this call.
Yeah.
And basically, Greg just nuked Shank. And I'm like, what? You know, because people, I got it sent to me a couple times, but, you know, it's like the same thing with you. I'm on the phone doing something else. I was like, okay, I'll get to this. And then finally I was like, I got to get to this, you know. And, you know, and I listened to that, to that, you know, basically just Greg kind of like, and I'm sure everybody's probably heard it, you know. We're not going to play it. We talked about it. You guys have heard it probably. And he just came off to me like bad, you know, and I, it's not, look, this guy, and I'm going to say some good things about Greg, and I'm going to tell you guys, I did a whole video that you can watch on my site, like kind of just addressing it, in my opinion. And I definitely want to hear what you think, Jake, too. But I, kind of just gave him some advice, and I hope he takes it, man. He probably doesn't care what I think, but because on one hand, doing that kind of stuff's wrong, right? And he crossed the line. But on the other hand, you're talking about a guy that has dominated in the business I've spent my whole life in.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, it's not like you're talking about, and I know like from the comments, like Greg's pissed off a lot of people. There's a few there. It's probably 85, 15, you know, like there's some people that are really strong for Greg and then, but it shouldn't be like that. First off. Secondly, is that this guy's, man, he's killing it, man. Like he has no reason to be upset about anything. He's on the biggest games on college football. I think he does a great job as a broadcaster on the call. He's got insight. He's on the, a huge radio show in the state, and he's on there with Cole Kublik. A lot of people like that show. People tell me, hey man, I like to listen to Greg. And when it comes to like the X's and O's of like football, like explaining like what the hell's going on for a guy like me that, has covered it, but I haven't been in the huddle like you. Those guys do a great job of that, right? Like they're the top of they do as good as you can do. You're talking about two great analysts, right? One like Cole Kublik, I think, even though he's an Auburn guy, and I hate to give Auburn people credit, but I like him a lot. I
like Cole a lot.
I gotta lie, like he seems like a guy that you'd really want to hang out with, and then and have a beer with. And so I have a lot of respect for what Greg's accomplished in his career, and it's even better than what I've done. And wanting to kind of have like some of the same path. With that said, like, the things that you say when you get on a platform and you have the kind of the respect of the people, the voice like he has, like, he right now, and I know Mark Ingram's kind of coming in there now too, where he's starting to become a person that people see, but Greg's the number one guy, and it's like you make a comment about Shank being lazy. That's going to stick with him for a long time, and that's kind of why I did the video. But at the same time, like, don't think that I don't appreciate like what he's accomplished and how good he is at some of the things that he does. He's just got to, when you do this for a living and you're on here, think about, we just get together twice a week. Think of every day. You did, maybe you had a bad day, man. Maybe you got a flat tire, it's a credit card bill, and then you take that shit on the air, and you say stuff that you look back and you're like, man. And he apologized too.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look, he's admitted. I mean, he's obviously wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you get caught up, his job is radio, like you said, and that's his every day. You get caught up in it, and I think sometimes, look, I haven't been in that position. I'm not in radio. I mean, again, we do this podcast twice a week, and this is my first jump into media.
Right.
Done a lot of interviews, but at the same time, I'm pretty conservative when I hop on the radio. Outside of making a few jokes that make people cringe, but
I want to make some jokes, but I don't want him to get mad at me. But can I say this? Are you cool if we invite him down anytime he wants to come on the show?
Greg?
Yeah, love to have him on.
I don't think he'd accept that invite.
I know, but the invite's there, man.
That'd be great. I don't know Greg.
I don't either.
Really, I've
never met him.
I've I think we've shaken hands twice and said hello, and that's about it. I haven't heard anything bad about him. I mean, just I've known Shank a long time. I know who he is. I know the kind of guy he is, and he's a great guy. And when we were on the field together, I knew that just like I would. I mean, we would have sacrificed our bodies and done whatever we could to make each other successful. So it's hard to hear somebody say something like that about a person that you care about that much on a personal level.
So you didn't think he was lazy?
No, I didn't think he was lazy. I mean, I think we all have bad days here and there, especially when it's 100 degrees and you're 320 pounds.
Yeah, right. Hey, you know who's going to have some days where they're going to be hot? It's Coach DeBoer. He doesn't realize like the heat that's coming. You know what I mean? Like, it's coming, bro. You better get ready for the heat. You know, you're out of Seattle or up in, Sioux Falls, or you're in Fresno, California. These are all pretty tame environments, man. It's hot as hell.
It's gonna be tough for him.
Woo!
You know.
Oh man.
No, but again, I love Shank to death. I don't know if it was evident to our viewers, that of this podcast. I mean, when we spent time with each other, obviously, I love him to death. I think he feels the same. I know we both have a lot of respect for each other, and you got to remember that. I mean, Shank's. I didn't like the using Alabama comment. I mean, if anybody's not using, Shank could have played anywhere and had some football experience, and he knows football. He has the credentials to coach at any level at some point. I think he's starting out in high school and he's doing a hell of a job. But there's nothing that he benefits from monetarily from playing at Alabama.
Yeah.
He's coaching kids, and his role in coaching kids, I would say, I mean, I put teachers, first responders, all those guys that sacrifice a lot and are not compensated enough. I respect those professions more than you could imagine. My dad was a firefighter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really putting yourself out there, and you're not getting compensated the way that you should, and you affect and influence kids and really shape the future of our societies.
Yeah.
And I look back on the teachers that I had in high school, teachers now. I mean, those good teachers, those good coaches, they really have an effect on you growing up and how you react to things and how you manage life moving forward. And
yeah, good point.
I could not thank my coaches enough. Coach Perry, my head coach at St. Paul's. I mean, I can name all my teachers and coaches, but it takes a special person to dedicate that kind of time to and love to kids that aren't your own.
Yeah, I think that the whole comment was
and I love good radio. I love listening to good radio, but at the end of the day, that doesn't mean shit in comparison to a coach or a teacher.
Oh yeah, dude.
Of
course.
I mean, I think about it all the time, how I'd love at some point to be a coach and try to help kids at some point, because I think it's more important than what I do a lot of times. I mean, I think it's more, you're contributing more to society doing that,
Yeah.
and giving those kids a better path with good advice. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm some beacon.
No, Coach Coker, I'm ready for this.
But no, I mean,
are you sending a message to Coach DeBoer right now?
No.
I'm just kidding.
I don't want any part of that.
No. Look, I hear you're exactly right, man.
But I don't know. It just Shanks. He's doing a hell of a job with what he's doing, and he's affecting a lot of kids in a positive way. And when I first saw that comment, it really pissed me off.
Yeah.
And I think Greg, looking back at it, he's probably pissed at himself.
Yeah, I think he is.
And I don't think it's an indictment on his character. I think he's just having a bad day.
Yeah.
Good.
That's kind of what I was saying too. Like,
yeah.
I know, like on my video, I got on him pretty good, but I also felt like when you're that high, let me go back to this. I told you this before. I spent this, one of the things I did this summer was I was around, I got to MC an event with Daryl Strawberry, and Daryl, I just went, I mean, I'm just like, the guy's like, all right, and here's John Matters. He's the president of the, and then he comes up and yeah, and then, whatever. And then Daryl Strawberry comes up and I'm like, I'm thinking like, I remember him. I mean, I remember being in my backyard and trying to emulate the swing. And I remember collecting his baseball cards, you know, and I remember him getting arrested, but I don't know anything about him. Right.
Yeah.
And he gets up and he starts talking, and it's like a whole thing about his life and about who he was as a player and kind of, you know, basically giving his life to God and you know, his story, right?
Yeah.
But by the time I left, man, I was like, God, he just like caught me, you know. And the thing that he talked a lot about was grace, you know, the ability to forgive somebody that the people that you care the most about, because they're the ones that when something happens and, you know, it's really hard to forgive them. But that's what God gave all of us, like the forgiveness, you know, like that's what is crazy when you don't deserve something that you get. Right. And, you know, kind of how this relates is like, he was talking about how when he was like, on the Mets, and he's just like, his mom was like praying that he'd get knocked off of his ivory tower, because he kind of lost his way understanding like what was really important, you know. And when I heard those comments, you know, it felt like to me, here's a guy who we all like admire because he represents us, because maybe he doesn't feel like he always gets the credit for being part of the Alabama community, but that's in his head, because we all like respect the shit out of him.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? We look at him and it's like, you see him on a game or he's somewhere, like, man, you represent Alabama, man, and you do a good job of it, right? But those comments really felt like a guy who's lost and needs to take a step back and be proud of the who he is, what he's accomplished, and at the same time, like, appreciate that there's other people out there who maybe haven't had the success, maybe haven't had the breaks, maybe didn't grow up in that same environment, have the same family, and appreciate the fact that people can have a different opinion than you, and that doesn't make them a mortal enemy. That just means that you just disagree on a topic, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes people like that need to get knocked off the tower. I mean, that's how I felt. But does that mean I want Greg to get fired? Does that mean no, man, I want the guy to be the best person that he can be. And comments like that, even when you go and apologize, that shit ain't going away.
Yeah.
There's going to be somebody that sees that comment that Coach Shank is dealing with. There's going to be somebody that sees that. And, well, you didn't know because you weren't there, but you said that guy's lazy. And now that's the narrative. Nobody does that to you. And there's people that have an opinion about all of us. And so they don't like us, you know, and you know what? Fuck them. You know what I mean? Is that a fair thing? So I certainly think that he was very genuine with his apology. And I hope that for his sake and for everybody, for his sake and his career's sake and what he means to Alabama, I hope he realizes that you can't do that shit anymore and learn from it and be a better person for it. And look, if he drinks scotch, I'll get the best scotch that I can get to have him on the show. If he wants some beer, we got beer. Well, but he's welcome here, man, even though he probably hates my guts for calling him out.
My thought is I mean, you want to be successful and you want to have, you know, the platforms, the money, that's
you want to stay relevant.
That's great. that's great and all. But
I'm joking.
No, I mean, I care less. Honestly, I've worked pretty hard at trying to be.
You've been the opposite.
Irrelevant. I
mean, you're not comfortable in the public eye. Why is that?
I wouldn't say I'm uncomfortable with it. I don't like the attention. I mean, again, I've got my own lane. What I think is important is friends and family, and I cannot stand. I mean, we do this because we have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
And if this show were to get big, that'd be great, but I wouldn't be doing anything different. and I can't stand social media.
I know. I'm trying to tell you to tweet more. We get more viewers.
I know. I know. I just, it's like Instagram. I don't like people I don't want people knowing what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah, right. Except Twitter, if you shoot a huge buck.
Yeah, that is going up on the social media at some point. So, but it's taken me.
Come here, baby.
But it's been about a month and a half since I killed that thing. I still hadn't got around to doing it.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, I figured you'd have that up. There's a big dude.
I know I will. But again, I'm just so.
Is his head going on your wall?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Proud of that one.
Yeah. He was sent to the taxidermist the day after. But where was I?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. What's his name?
Man,
I'm just kidding. I was just leave me. I'm gonna mute my microphone. I'm gonna mute my microphone right now.
No, but what I was saying was like, the platform, whatever platform it is, that's great. However much money you make, that's great too. But nobody really gives a shit unless you're pulling the people up around you.
Yeah, man, that's the truth.
Shank's an Alabama graduate. I feel like we're all supposed to stick together. I don't know some guys from different teams, but I still, if somebody reached out to me needing help that graduated from Alabama, I'd help them just because we kind of shared in the same brotherhood. But again, I'm in a business where sometimes I talk to people that do really well. Sometimes they're really great people, and I'm like, shit, this guy gets it, man. He has done really well. He treats people with respect. He still acts like a small guy, I mean, just cares for people and does the right thing all the time. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want to, you love that he's doing well and just want to help in any way.
Man, I love this story, dude. Him saying, like, first off, like, I'm like, why do I like this guy so much? And the first thing he's like, you know what, man, I was a band kid. And I get it,
Yeah.
He's
his own guy.
Yeah, it's not like he's like one of these guys who was just like me, that everything's always been about sports.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I mean, I go to bed and wake up about sports. It's hard for me to get my mind off of it, whether it's baseball or football or whatever I'm into. And then, he's like, I like being in the band. I was in the band. He's like a band kid that just has a big, giant body, strong dude,
Yeah.
Like, and you know how it is. Like everybody, all the football coaches are like, hey, did you see that trombone player? We got to get him on the offensive line. Like he's just trying.
Those high school coaches.
Yeah, that's how they do it, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I was in lunch duty and I saw Alphonse and he was. We could use him on the line. You know what I mean? Like they're scouting in the lunchroom. All he wants to do is just play in the band.
Yeah.
I honestly, I loved all those stories, man. I kept thinking about load management, like being out there and being that big and that hot.
Telling you before, like I was telling you before this podcast started, I mean, when I sit here and talk about how hot it was at practice, and I'm sitting there stretching, it's 99 degrees, and I'm bitching about, how hot it is, and then I realize I'm in a freaking black jersey, and you got guys that outweigh me by 100 pounds and are hitting every play. I'm like, God, I'm so soft.
Yeah, right.
I get to stand back there and not get hit. And Shank, I mean, you saw how big he was. He's one of the biggest humans I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Good Lord. 2-a-days, being that big, just, I mean, hammering away every 30 seconds.
Tell me, he was talking about smoking somebody at practice and then them getting mad. And
Reuben Foster.
It's like,
he's like, okay, Shank. Okay, Shank.
Oh, man.
Shank's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Now I got to deal with this. Oh, man. He was so funny. I can't wait to get him back in here. with Ryan Anderson.
Oh, we got to do
so
that.
funny,
Us
dude.
four, yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, like, just
That's another thing. You know, I hadn't been able to. We're so busy.
I know.
I hadn't been able to spend a ton of time with Ryan, and then he gets to. Yeah, we set this up, and he's coming to hang out, and it's, just reminiscing on those memories and seeing these guys. I mean, that's what I enjoy so much about it.
Yeah, me too. I like Ryan a lot too, man. Just such a really funny dude, and he just has such a presence. You guys know that you watch the show. I mean, it's like it, but it's fun. Honestly, I like doing shows with you. I like doing shows with them. Like I have a fun. It's a different show, no matter who's on.
Yeah.
Like we cutting
football
up.
guys tend to be a little bit different. I feel like you spend so much time in the locker room. Heck, you're every day after practice is a podcast, just not recording.
Oh, I know. Who's the funniest guy you played with?
Keith Weeks, Red. He was a Florida State guy. Michael Nicewander. The funniest guys that you play with oftentimes are the guys that walk on.
Yeah.
And end up getting scholarships. And the reason why, to me, is just because they have such a positive attitude all the time.
Right.
Like
they love it there so much. They're
willing to eat shit for years.
Yeah.
In order to get a scholarship for just 1 or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I say just 1 or 2 years, man, that's a big deal in itself.
Right.
But guys with that kind of attitude, I mean, if I were running a company, just based on what I know, I'd just look around at all the schools and see who was a walk-on and who got a scholarship, and try to hire all those guys, because they're going to bring the company morale up big time.
Right.
And they're going to be able to sell stuff too. I mean, Nicewander, Red, Danny Adams was another one, Barrett Kernan, bunch of walk-on guys that worked their ass off and played, and just were there every day. Loved it.
Yeah, I got a call from one of my fraternity brothers the other day, and he was talking about a couple of our guys that
Parker Barano.
Yeah, that were walk-ons back in our day, 99.
Yeah.
I remember those guys being at like the dinner table and they take their shirts off, and I said, that's when I realized walk-on, AKA tackling dummy. You talk about it, black and blue, man.
Yeah.
You got to be tough to do that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not saying that to disparage. I'm just saying, like, that is a tough role.
Oh yeah. I mean, Red played for Coach Trickett too, and man, that's the toughest coach I've ever been around.
Yeah.
I mean, offensive lineman at Florida State.
I remember. And was he West Virginia before that?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. When that was,
he's been at Auburn. He's been at West Virginia, Florida State. He's been around.
I think he was there. Wasn't he there when West Virginia could have made the national championship game?
The undefeated year.
Yeah.
Maybe lost.
They lost the last game to Pitt or something.
Did Pat McAfee miss that field goal?
Maybe.
Was that
I don't know. Was it Pat? Not the Pat McAfee.
I think so. Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Wow, man. I don't know this. I don't know this.
Say that. I mean, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember him saying that.
I just remember like that season. Like Pat White was a quarterback, right?
You're right, because I remember Pat McAfee's talked about Coach Trickett before,
and they had an offensive line that was just beating people's ass, and they were
Coach
one of the first teams that ran the spread.
It was considered the best O-line,
best in the country. Yep, yeah. And they were one of the first teams that like ran the spread, ran it like we know it now, like with speed game and spread, and because football used to not look like that.
Yeah.
And then they had to do was win one more game, and they would have been in the championship.
Yeah,
best season ever.
Coach Trickett was one of the funniest.
Was he?
I mean, he was. Now he was hard. He was hard, but he was one of the funniest coaches I've ever been around. I can tell you a couple stories, but it's like, it's one of those. I think I could tell them, but I don't.
You don't
share
know
too much.
Yeah, this is already a controversial show.
I feel
like there's a heavy weight over us right now. No, I'm honestly trying to stay. I'm just trying to stay relevant. I'm really kidding. If you watch us all the time, you know that. Don't take anything I say seriously. Man.
No, Coach Trickett I know he was at Jacksonville State.
Was he?
Yeah.
With Rich Rod?
Yeah.
Man, think of the coaches that they have.
I think
Rich Rod's got one more run somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I
met him when I was in Arizona. When he was the head coach at Arizona, he came to some Cardinals meetings. Seemed like a really nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But I met him there. I didn't ask him about the Alabama hiring process.
Well, it worked out for all of us. Hey, I
definitely didn't tell him that.
No. Did you? Everybody's been talking about Coach Saban bodyboarding. Have you seen the video his daughter put up? Well,
man, he's really. Well,
it's terrible.
Dove into this retirement.
Yeah, well, people know me from talking about my day surfing and stuff, and they're like, "You need to give Coach Saban some tips." I do need to give him some tips. It's the worst example of being on the waves I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, that tells you one thing: he hadn't vacationed much.
No, but I'm glad he's out there, man. I would love
him being retired is like learning to walk for him.
Yeah, right. Him out there, like I was just thinking about like him going out there, like try to catch a wave, and it's just awful. I mean, like the form was bad. I'd love to coach him up. Like you start at the back of the wave, you don't start in the middle of the wave. You come from behind the wave, you try to get in it, like
he's probably all pissed off right now, and he's probably thinking about how he's going to get better at it.
Yeah, or after like watching that video, he's like, why did I retire again? He's not wearing slacks though. I'll give him that. But look, I'm going to tell you this right now. First off, I hope he needs to enjoy the rest of his life, because when you're 72, you don't know how many days you have left, and he may live to 100 and he may not. Second thing is, I like Coach DeBoer, man. I'm watching him. He was over at St. Paul's, your old stomping ground. Yep. He's hitting. This isn't. If the rest of the SEC thinks that this is going to be Brian Harsin, they're going to find out the hard way. This guy's he's got a different energy. He's got a different demeanor. This guy's a winner, man.
He's already visiting schools. He's got Harsin beat.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but you can just tell, like, he's not here because he wants the money. He's here because he wants to win championships.
Yeah, you don't get somebody to replace Coach Saban when they got a good thing going without them being ready to take on this challenge.
No, he's probably never had a budget like this to work with to recruit.
Yeah, I mean, he's bitten off a lot, and I don't know if you were to bring Coach Saban in right now. I don't think he could replicate with the transfer portal and all these other issues, NIL. I don't think he can come in and replicate what he's done in the last 14 years.
No,
I just don't think with these rules it's
well,
possible.
There are no rules. You're right, probably right. I saw where Ole Miss is like just spending a ton of money right now.
Well, they're getting a lot of guys in the transfer portal, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now they're not spending what Ohio State spent, but
they just got two guys off of the Washington offensive line.
Yeah, they got a running back too, right?
Did they?
I think they got somebody to replace Judkins.
From Washington?
Maybe.
I probably should know that, but I'm normally focused on what we're doing. But I mean, you can't not pay attention to it. Like they got pretty close last year.
There's so much going on now. It's hard to keep up with all the moving parts.
Yeah. Well, money's a big part of it too, man. I mean, like, if you got boosters that are, willing to pay you, then,
Well, Ryan Day, I mean, now that
come
that kind of backing, I mean, and this, I'm not. This is what I know. This is what Jimbo got so mad about was. I mean, I don't think he did anything illegal, and I don't think that's what Coach Saban ever said. I think he just got mad because it seemed like it was so easy because he had a money backing.
Yeah, right.
You know,
well, it didn't turn out too good, though.
Well, yeah,
and look, that's what you're going to have to. These coaches are going to have to figure out how. Just because you got talent doesn't mean these guys are going to play up to it. You've never really had guys that are rich playing football. I mean, you did, but normally they were always from rich families. Now you're giving people that grew up like me a bunch of money. How motivated are you going to be to, if you would have given me like $1 million or, $500,000 in college, I don't know how I would have acted with it.
Well, I mean, Coach Saban's always said it's, the teams that have a lot of guys on it that are humble and aggressive in their approach to getting better and winning are his favorite teams to coach. And man, that's what we got this year. I mean, there's a couple guys that, I mean, Jalen Milroe deservedly should make money because of what he's done for Alabama.
Yeah. Right. That's what it was supposed to be, though.
But that's the kind of guy that deserves, to me, the NIL money.
Right.
The guy with that kind of loyalty. Let's figure out how to get him some money.
Yeah.
Those are leaders you want around. And then the rest of the guys, we're going to have a bunch of guys that, we're not going to have the Caleb Downses, the other big name guys, but they're going to have to fight, scratch, and claw to get that payday.
Right.
And so honestly, it's kind of cool now this year. I mean, obviously all of us wanted to see Coach Saban last a few more years, but I'm more than pleased with Kalen DeBoer. And I'm pretty excited to see a team that's hungry, that's got a lot to prove in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I could have beaten those words and we could go 7-6, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Mm-mm.
And it's
going to be fun, man.
It's going to be fun to watch this brand of football with a bunch of guys that are pissed off about what everybody said about them all off season.
Right. And have, let me just throw this out there. Bama's going to be better coached, not better recruited, better coached. And there's a guy that does all this stuff. You're talking about some top. These are the top of the top coaches.
I'd say maybe
X's
this year offensively.
X's and O's.
Defensively,
it's going to be hard to. You're saying it's going to be hard to replace those guys.
Yeah, it's defensively.
There's a guy named Dave Bartu who does this for a living.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about? Says this is the best, one of the best coaching staff. I tend to agree with that, man.
Yeah. I'm not saying our coaching staff is. I'm just saying. I mean,
well, Saban was fixated on recruiting. I mean, that was what his priority was. I think that he would have.
Priority was
winning
defense.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you couldn't recruit, you could be the best X's and O's coach, and all that stuff. But you had to recruit first.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, his emphasis, his biggest emphasis was on recruiting, but. I mean, this guy also, his second biggest emphasis, he's going to spend more time on that than 99.9% of everybody else
on the defense.
Around.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, I would say, and I think he stated this. I mean, he didn't get to spend as much time around the offense.
He did say that.
Liked.
Yeah,
and defense
was good.
He was on. When practice was going on, unless it was good on good, he was on the defensive side of the ball just about the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, he'd look over, and if we were out of whack and it was pretty obvious, he was going to cuss all of us out and get us in the right state of mind. But
he's such a genius, man.
You
know what I'm talking about? Just being able to dissect what's going on and fix it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's the reason why that they were so good with the adjustments in the second half this year.
Yeah.
But Chris Lowe told me, he said, man, one of the toughest parts of Saban's job before he retired was coaching the coaches. And every year it was these guys are rotating out, retiring, leaving, getting bought by other teams, and it was
Well,
I think that was one of the reasons why he was like, man, I just can't do it. I'm too old to do all this now.
You think, have Kirby Smart around for what was it, 14, 15 years?
Right. Yeah.
He wasn't in Alabama.
But whatever, he was his right-hand man.
But to have him around that long and have a guy like that, Coach Smart was one of the most impressive coaches I've ever been around.
Yeah, bought in.
And to have a DC like that who was on the same page, every step of the way with Coach Saban, knew exactly what he wanted all the time. He wasn't screwing around. You didn't hear anything crazy about him. He was locked in all the time.
Yeah. He didn't have an alias, is what you're saying.
That was the best duo.
I'm just saying, must have been strange back then.
You're on fire this week.
Oh man, I know I am. Thank you. I think that's a compliment. Shane, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
What was it like playing the offense against those guys?
It sucked.
Oh, there's going to be bad comments. Please don't be too hard on me in the comments.
Oh, God.
Just a regular guy over here.
Oh, yeah.
I love Saban, though, man. I just don't like him as a surfer. Is that fair to say?
I bet he's got to be a little awkward out there.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the video, though.
No, it's everywhere. Yeah, I'll show you. I bet there's so much free time. He's just like, what the hell am I going to do?
What I was about. What
am I going to do?
You say it's a completely different life. He does. I guarantee you he's freaked out right now.
Yeah. What about Bill Belichick not getting the Falcons job? Did you see that?
Oh, man.
Isn't that weird? Maybe we could have had him if Saban would have stayed. Think if we would have had those two together.
Oh, my gosh. You imagine that?
Yeah. Really?
What if he was a DC at Alabama?
Or just he wouldn't have been that. He'd have been one of those analysts. Yeah. But he really would have been
he'd have been an analyst, but he'd have been the DC.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But you guys ought to think about this.
I bet he'd had fun doing it too.
How about I thought for sure the Falcons would have hired him just based off of interest. Everybody was like, man, it'd be great,
I don't know how you couldn't hire Bill Belichick. The best, considered one of the best of all time.
Just to do it, just to sell tickets.
I guess it's a longevity thing. I don't know how many years he's got left, but still,
true.
In the NFL,
you only last 3 years anyway.
In the NFL, it doesn't really matter. It's not like you're recruiting people and keeping them around.
No. Some big football games this weekend. Will you watch the NFL this weekend? This is a great weekend of NFL football.
Yeah, my daughter turns 4 on Sunday.
Oh wow!
So, I'm sure.
So you'll celebrate by watching football,
cutting the cake, and watching football.
Were you, as a Mobilian, were you offended by the way that those ladies tore up the king cake yesterday on that basketball broadcast? Did you see that?
I didn't see it.
Is it actually I'm going to tell you something. I watched the game. South Carolina against LSU women's basketball. Great game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. And if that was the product, all the time, people would watch it. It was a sellout. It was great.
Well, it's they need more feuds and
you got to have them.
And girls college the Caitlin Collins and
love that
against LSU.
She's like the Larry Bird of women's basketball.
Except the collapse on when they rushed the court a couple nights ago and she fell down. It wasn't a good look.
How about getting the court rushed for women's basketball?
Was that a first?
Yeah, I don't know. It hasn't happened much, but that's good, man. Those are, I wish that Alabama had a team like that. Back there was a time when Alabama was really good, and got to the Final Four and had some massive battles with teams like Duke and North Carolina and Tennessee and stuff like that. And then they're just so irrelevant. And then you watch that and you're like, man, this is actually pretty cool. Like,
and I had a blast watching that game Wednesday, Alabama Auburn.
Yeah, the men's team. You know, I think Nate Oates. I don't think we could get a better coach, man.
No,
I think he's great.
I do too. Only thing it scares me. Well, we gotta have. I mean, we need some Brandon Millers and
we don't have that this year.
But
Sears is good though.
Grant Nelson, he bowed up a little bit.
Griffin's good. Yeah, right.
Bowed up. There's a garbage foul they called on him at the end of the game on Wednesday.
I know. But it made it more interesting.
Yeah, that
kept you stuck.
Tip slam he had was pretty awesome.
And look, student section, man, give me the hard hat. You guys getting it done. That was cool. I mean, like really, it was a great environment.
Did you see that picture of
And I like Bruce Pearl. I'm just going to tell you, I like Bruce Pearl, and I like the rivalry. You can tell that they respect each other. If Bruce Pearl's not at Auburn, we have a shitty team. It's the fact that we're never going to like just let them take over.
Oh, yeah.
So we went out and got some, and that's what makes it fun, man. Alabama basketball.
Nate Oates is 6-3 against Bruce Pearl.
I know, and won 3 straight. But what's crazy is that the state of Alabama for basketball right now, and over the last 3 or 4 seasons has been the top
SEC.
in the SEC.
I mean,
right?
the SEC used to be the garbage conference of basketball.
I know.
And now, I mean, last year the SEC was the best conference in America.
I know. It used to be like ACC. Maryland, Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest.
ACC and the Big East.
Yeah, the Big East used to be good.
The Big East, I remember watching. I mean, I used to love watching that tournament.
Georgetown.
Georgetown, UConn.
Yeah, UConn,
Man, those Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some.
Yeah.
I used to love watching basketball.
It was fun games, man. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like the fact that they got their ass kicked by Tennessee and Nate Oates just called them out, you know. Just, hey, you know what? We're not used to this, but I mean, we'll see how these guys respond.
What do you say? I thought we had a tough team, but I guess, I don't know if we're going to.
We'll see how we respond.
We'll find out if we're the team that rolls over when the tough times come or if we bow up and make something happen.
Yeah. And I love that Bruce Pearl was making fun of Coleman because I think we need a new arena too. And
then the lights
thing. Yeah. I actually watched it in here, man. It was like, it's a pretty good environment for basketball, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
You like cigars and beer.
Like I was about to say.
You like cigars and beer. And now we got TVs all over the place in here.
Oh, that's what it smells like now.
Can you smell it?
I'm kidding. No.
You said you couldn't smell.
I can't. So I've said I'm kidding. I can't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It does smell like that. It does. This is part of No Drink January. I mean, I'm drinking right now, but I'm just doing it because this was going to be a very controversial show. I just don't want to be sober for it.
Well, it hadn't been controversial.
I know, man. Look,
we're saying what, The only thing is that we love Shank. I mean, I love Shank. I've known Shank for so long. I mean,
I've admired him for a long time.
You just hate to. He feels bad about all that. I mean, he hadn't told me that, but I don't know.
It's like one of those comments. It's like
I hate it for both of them.
Yeah, right. Me too.
It's one of those.
And Greg said he felt bad. He said he didn't sleep good, and I think that you learn from. Sometimes it's worse to be the guy that started it.
Yeah.
Just because
it's just a weird. It was like, where did that come from?
I know.
I
thought, man, did we talk about Greg on here?
Well, that's yeah.
Like, man, look, I've talked about him before.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to tell you that.
We're talking about some stupid shit.
But the reason why is that he's like, if he says something, it's news. And it's like, if he said, I mean, I'm not talking about just this, but anything like, if he's got the biggest platform in the state.
We'll see. I don't like, I mean,
but I've never been like said I didn't like him or anything. Just like, hey, this is what Greg McElroy said. It's like, okay, let's start a conversation over it, not like, hey, I didn't like this or that. I mean, He's
Well, I
not.
don't see
His
how.
problem, his biggest problem is he's not relatable, and he can fix that because I bet you that there's a really good guy in there, and that he's just got to kind of like come down here, get a scotch with us, hang out, call me out on what I said. I'll take it, and we'll give it back and forth, and we'll have a good time and some laughs, and people will see who he really
Actually,
is.
we ought to just us two, Greg and Shank.
That'd be great. I'd love that.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
I mean, look, he's the
Well,
quarterback.
they would. I mean, if you did see that, them two hanging out and having a good time, and
That'd be fun.
but again, they didn't. I don't think they even knew each other, which is the crazy thing.
No.
But
Sometimes that's sometimes that's like, think about the biggest sports feud of my lifetime was Magic and Larry Bird.
yeah,
I mean, I remember when they didn't like each other.
Yeah.
Because I'm old.
oh, yeah.
I know you don't think that, but I am. And old enough to remember that. And then all of a sudden they did a McDonald's commercial together and they're friends. And then they end up being best friends, you can, man, people say opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, like you heard that before. It's true.
Oh, yeah.
We all have an opinion, sometimes you're going to be right and sometimes you're going to be wrong. But you know what? In this business, when you F something up, you just admit it, man. Laugh at yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. I mean,
But it was weird.
yeah.
Look at this old glass right here. You remember when you talk about the SEC? This is vintage.
You got all the old logos on there.
Well, this was from that day. I got it at an antique store.
Is that the one you left outside of Bryant Denny?
No, there's a different one. Now and it wasn't Bryant Denny. I went with Skip to the blackout game. And it
was in Athens?
Yeah, it was in Athens. And I left it in one of the shrubs.
You left it between the hedges.
Yeah.
In the hedges.
Don't tell anybody, but we stayed out all night. And we stuck it in there. And then 2 weeks later, with the Ben Ingram, the voice of the Atlanta Braves, we went back just on another random, just to go watch Georgia and Tennessee, because I was like, this place is incredible. Athens is a fun town.
Yeah.
We should do that.
I've been once for the game we played in 2015.
I remember. I was there.
My parents told me, and my wife told me, it was a freaking nightmare in terms of the way the fans got after them. Which means that they're passionate about football. It's got to be a good time. People love their school.
How the hell did they get everybody to wear black like that?
Not
your year, but 09. Your year was that.
No, they knew better by then.
I remember that game. We did our pregame show.
They will never black out for an Alabama game again.
No. We did,
because that's such a running joke now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is, when you hear blackout, all you think is Georgia, Alabama, 2009 or 2008, whatever year it was.
Yeah, I had the Daniel Moore print. I gave it to my father-in-law with John Parker, Wilson, and Julio. We did our show. We did our pregame show in your year from the Bulldog. I don't know, one of the bars there.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was called, but it was cool, and it was so much fun. And then it rained like hell.
Oh yeah,
that
Oh yeah, heck, it rained. Yeah, I thought it was over by the time the game started.
Got
then
my
started
ticket. John Parker Wilson gave me my ticket.
Really?
Yeah. Tried to take it back.
That's where my dad met John Parker.
Was it that game?
Yeah.
I wonder if he was there when John Parker was trying to take my ticket back from me. I was like, no.
That's probably John Parker was probably looking for you.
He was, and now Mike and Barron were like, don't give him the ticket back. But I thank you, John. Thank you, JP.
I love John Parker. He's great.
Funny dude. Great athlete, man.
Oh yeah.
His brother's a great athlete too.
John Parker. I've shared a few beers with John Parker. We've had a really good time. He's just a great guy. He was so nice to me while I was playing.
Yeah.
Genuine
dude.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Very genuine.
Yeah, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, right.
And he'll have fun with anybody.
Yeah.
It's so funny watching him work a room. He cracks me up.
You're right. Yeah. The dad's a great guy too.
Yeah, I hadn't met his
A
dad.
great guy. Oh, Mark.
His whole family's athletic, though.
Yeah.
His little brother played at Alabama.
I know.
His cousin or nephew, his cousin, I think. Can't remember his first name. Played shortstop, I think, at Alabama 2 or 3 years ago.
Just turn around and there's another one there. Like,
yeah.
where are they coming from?
Oh, yeah.
And how are they so good?
Hair's always perfect.
Yeah, right. You know, like, how you doing this?
You got it all.
Yeah. Did you watch them when they? Well, we've talked about this before. I think the answer is yes, right? You used to watch the show, the 2-a-days.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody doesn't know about that show.
I loved it.
You know,
loved it.
Goose.
Yeah, we did talk about this because Goose was at our tailgate.
I wonder what that guy's doing now.
I don't know if he's at our tailgate in 09.
How did he introduce himself?
They were like, "Hey, have you met Goose?" I was like, "I'd love to meet Goose." Like, you know, like I love Goose. Like he
uses 2-a-days.
Yeah. Is it too soon? No, it's not.
We made our point.
I know.
It's no, you know,
we're making fun of ourselves.
Yeah. Don't mean anything by it. I mean, you know,
it is funny as shit.
I mean,
I met him though.
I mean, if I knew Greg well, I'd say some shit like that.
He needs to come down here.
If I had if
as much
Greg
as he hates us.
Yeah, I don't know if he hates. I mean, we don't know each other. You know,
right, I'm probably on the hate list, but come on down, Greg. You're seriously
on the hate list.
You're seriously invited. I mean that. You come down to Fairhope, you even can stay at my house. I don't even care. Just don't get that mad at me. No, nothing physical. Like, I'll buy the drink. So
no, but where were we to?
Yeah, Goose. I'm thinking of Goose. I'm thinking of that, and then you say Goose, and I'm thinking of the other Goose who was on my Ravens 2000 Super Bowl team. And then I was thinking about the Ravens' other Super Bowl team. And then I was thinking about the Ravens and the Chiefs on Sunday. That is a big damn game.
That's gonna be. Yeah, again, I don't watch a ton of NFL. I'll be watching that game.
So I guess
I always love the Bills Chiefs matchup.
Oh, it's a great game.
Allen and Mahomes. Those two, I mean, those two are so much fun to watch. And Allen, I tell you what, man, Josh Allen, he is the epitome of how hard it is to be a good quarterback in the NFL. I mean, the games that he's played.
I know, man.
His stats in those games against Kansas City.
They've been great.
It's like all-world stats, and he cannot get a victory. It's like, I mean, it basically says, you know, he needs a little help because his stats in those games are just unreal.
Yeah, right. I was glad.
And it's crazy. I mean, your record. I mean, there's so many good players in the NFL that don't get their credit because they haven't been on winning teams.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, like there was a guy named Dan Marino that was on.
Well,
one of the best quarterbacks ever, you know, and they never had enough to get, you know, but
oh yeah.
That's why I'm actually going to Key West.
He's one of those guys that overcame the.
Just got to go down and celebrate Dan next week.
Yeah, he's going to be in Mobile next week.
Is he?
Yeah, for the Senior Bowl.
Really?
Yeah.
And I'm gone.
Picked a hell of a week to be.
Do you have any autographs? You got any autographs? Like I'll tell you, mine are behind you.
From
whoever. I got Saban right there. I got Stallings behind you, and I got Bart Starr all behind you right there.
I don't have any autographs. To be honest with you,
really,
I don't have a single autographed item at my house.
I need to work on that.
I've just never been a.
You don't want to be the guy that's like, hey man, would you sign this for me?
Yeah.
Why not?
I think what would be cool is like I've seen Lyle Kane had I think I've told you this, had a ball that was signed by all the national championship.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, one guy might not sign it.
I wouldn't ask you to go get it signed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he signed it for you. That would be incredible, though.
I mean, you couldn't do that now. Everybody's, I mean, some of them are dead.
Think about I've talked about this before, man. I mean, just think about that group, like all you guys, that is an elite fraternity, man. The elitist of the elite, to be part of something like that.
It's kind of like, and this is, I would say this, even if we weren't talking about the whole using Alabama thing. I mean, just the fact I got to play at Alabama under Coach Saban. I mean, that's what.
How cool is that, man?
It's changed my life and just unbelievably in so many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine. There's not one day that goes by I don't think about that experience, at least
somebody pointed something out the other day, and I got to ask you about this. They told me that your name wasn't Jake.
Who said that?
I heard that your name was Bryant.
My first name is Bryant.
I said,
no, it's not.
Well, hold on. I said, what?
No.
I said, what? What do we got going on here now?
My dad's name is Bryant. My dad is in his 70s. So he was way before, Coach Bryant was around.
You should have just said, yeah.
No, because I'll tell you why I say that is because when I was at Florida State, I got so much shit for being named after Bear Bryant.
Well, hell, that'd be a great person to be named after.
I mean, they were all like, "You're a Bammer," I mean, I was,
yeah. Like there he is, right there. You talk about a badass.
I know,
man.
but I like,
look at him on that pole, man, just sitting there, kind of hanging out.
I know. All my teammates used to make fun. I mean, they just. I mean, it's so.
What a partner! What a broadcast partner I am. Show 40. Today is we like this is show 40.
Show 40.
It is show 40.
Huh.
Show 40, and I had no idea.
Look at us.
I know when I talk about you at home because I have a Jake, my own
vets now,
son, and it's like he'll be like, "Huh," and I'll be like, "Not you, the other Jake," and okay.
No, you're not a dipshit. I'm talking about Jake.
Big Jake. Not you.
No, but I used to get all this shit because my name was Bryant. They'd be like, like I was named after Bear Bryant, and I'm such a Bammer and all this and that, and so I already knew where you were going.
You did, but see, I didn't know that. I was like, what? Are you telling me I've hung out with him for 39 episodes and I didn't know that his name was Bryant?
No,
I love you guys though that have like names like you're like I knew this guy named Bull Corey. I talk about him off there. I never talked about him on the show. He's from Oakman. When I was in college, my job was the Skull rep, and we sponsored his concerts. That's where I met Willie Nelson. And yeah, I might have gone on his bus.
Well, we know what happened on that bus.
You know what happened. And I'm not, that was back when I was in college, but Merle Haggard, Marshall Tucker Band. I mean, a bunch of these like Billy Ray Cyrus with the mullet.
Like the outcome would have been any different yesterday.
Probably just would have. We probably just would have went and got something to eat together. But and so Bull. We lost Bull last year, and they like I'm looking at his thing, and they're like Charles Richard. I'm like, who the fuck's Charles? Like where's this coming from? You guys that have like these first names that you don't, it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Your whole life, do you just like go in and they're like call in attendance, and they're like, Michael Gillispie, and then they're like Bryant Coker. And everybody's like, who's that? Somebody told me your name was Jacob in high school.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, at some point you're just like, whatever. Just
so are you Bryant? Is it Bryant Jacob Coker?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just making sure. I'm just feeling you
Who
out.
told you my name was Bryant?
I got it from a source. Been talked about a lot this week. we've been talked about quite a bit this week. So. Hopefully more people will watch our podcast. Guys need to share it, man. Well, we got to get Shank back soon.
Yeah.
We got
we'll bring Shank and Ryan in here.
Oh yeah, I love that. There's plenty of room on the couch.
I mean, and look, I don't mean to keep. I mean, it's this whole deal sucks for Shank and Greg, and I love Shank. I don't really know Greg. I like him. I hope he does really well. But I mean, we are having fun with this now. It's like, it's water on the bridge. But did you see Ryan's tweet? He just said, "You're wrong for that, young Sheldon."
And had the cat on there.
Tag Greg.
That's just like, look, if you're Greg, you just wear it. And, you know what I mean? Like, we've all been there. We've all been there, man.
Oh,
the problem that he has.
I still think about some of the shit I've said over the years.
Me too,
I'm like,
man.
To some people, I cannot think of an apology good enough or sincere enough.
Yeah.
For how bad I felt about some of the things I've said. But yeah, at this point, you got to wear it and just.
You got to laugh at yourself.
Be open with everybody. Just have fun with people.
Yeah, right.
Who cares what people think your football takes? I mean.
Yeah,
I know that's what you do, but at the same time, say what you want.
Yeah, the other thing is, who gives a fuck if people think you're an Alabama guy or not? I mean, really, dude. Like, we all think you're an Alabama guy.
Yeah,
you don't have to prove anything to anybody. Now, some of your takes might upset some people, but that's part of what your job is.
Yeah.
If that's what you think and you're willing to die on that hill, then die on it, man.
Yeah.
No, I've never not thought like. That you don't have a right to say that stuff.
Yeah.
But right now, you're the guy. You're going to take the heat, but you're also going to get the credit,
Yep.
No, and
if you're going to make fun of somebody, just make fun of Crux Oxenweiler.
He's another guy that's invited. Crux, come on in.
No, actually, I've met him, and he is.
Have you?
He's.
I love Barstool.
Oh, I do.
You know me, like this show could be on Barstool.
They've trashed me before.
Have they?
I mean, whatever, man.
We fit right in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not even. They don't even know who I am, so it don't matter. But I love them, man. I love Barstool. They created the Willie character, who's the best recruiter we have now. Roll Tide Willie?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Roll Tide Willie.
Blitz, like, Mama Blitz.
Yeah.
I mean, it's here. It's to have fun. This is our only escape to really have fun and have commentary where you can go back and forth and not take it seriously.
Don't act like you're the judge on Caddyshack.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm up there. I mean, I'm.
Are you the judge on Caddyshack?
No.
I'm probably more like the Chevy
I've heard
Chase
a lot
character.
of negative commentary about my play.
Oh,
I mean, I don't really give a shit either.
Is this when we get into Dunaway?
No, but I mean, who wants to? Are you gonna be that loser who just like takes it personally and can't? Yeah, I mean, like, what? Hey, man, I'm just say what you want to say about football, but let's just have a good time,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
and if it's a good joke, me handing off to Derrick Henry and a Daniel Moore print, okay, whatever.
Right. Hey, as long as you get to sign it for some cash.
Yeah.
For some cash. Even if it's your butt.
Hey, man, I got what I wanted. I got what I wanted. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Football served me. I got to play for Alabama. It was a great time. And I mean, I don't care what it looked like.
No.
We got what we wanted. And it was fun. And,
that's all it's about, man. We take all of this stuff too seriously.
Oh, yeah.
But But you got to laugh. You just got to be able to laugh at
That's
yourself,
what
man.
you know.
You can talk shit about people, but laugh about it, and it doesn't feel like you know what I'm saying? Like, and the other thing is when you mess up, man, just laugh at yourself on that. But if you come at it from a clean heart, from a like, hey, man, you know, with a smile on your face, it's all. And how many times have I told you off the air? It's just all about the way that you just like present it, man.
Oh yeah.
Like say what you want to say, but just do it in a way where you're fair and you're.
You see Shank talk about Alabama football,
I love it.
You know he loves it. He loves it. And he's not tied down. He doesn't have to. Nobody's telling him what to say.
Right.
Nobody's. It's like Shank's saying what he wants to say, and he loves Alabama.
He was telling us about what I call load management. He saw Casher get carted out, you know. It's time to dial it back a little bit.
He's falling out.
Yeah, right. Like
Cochran looks over, he gets thrown. He gets thrown in the paddy wagon, and he's taken off. And Cochran just goes, "All right, line up." We're just so what?
Fuck. Oh my God, man! I'm I let
and everybody looked at Casher and said, "You lazy son."
Yeah, right. Yeah. That maybe Greg was thinking Casher. He got carted out. Oh shit! Oh, man, they're gonna be talking about us again. Man, come on.
Hey, if Shaq was in here right now, he'd be making jokes too.
I know.
I mean, what are you gonna do? You gonna sit here? You gotta have fun with it, you know.
I'll say this, man. The comment section that I've seen, read all that stuff, man. Look, cut Greg some slack.
He's gonna take some shit, and he deserves it.
He deserves it. But cut him some slack.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he
made a comment.
He apologized. It's over. It's done.
Yeah, like
you know.
Don't have the venom and the hate, man. Just like,
yeah. But I mean, let's have fun with it, make fun of it.
Oh, I love it.
You know,
man. We got to fill like time. So this is the back of the bus show.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Greg.
This is literally the back of the bus show. You know what I mean? Like, I've been on a lot of bus rides, and this is what happens on the back of the bus. You're like, what the are these guys laughing about? You know, when you see like baseball teams and they all like they have like their thing, like, you know, they get the second, they're doing that, you know. It all starts in the back of the bus.
Yeah, it does.
Oh man, I've had fun, dude. An hour and a half went by fast.
Can't believe it's been an hour and a half.
I know. I'm glad we kind of talked about everything. I think we kind of laid it out there for everybody. And we'll
Let's have fun.
Yeah, get another show going next week. But I think it's time to move on from it. Although I'll be making fun of this shit for a long time. I'm just telling you that right now. But no hate in it. Just funny. But everybody's invited here, and I mean that. Like, and I do mean that.
Oh yeah.
Make fun of me if you want. I don't give a shit. But come down and hang out with us because there's no ill intent. And Greg, do you guys that are pissed off at Greg, remember, man, like, this is a guy that's got a lot of pressure on him. He's got a big platform. He's done a lot of great things in his career. And he feels bad, you know, and
one slip up and, you know, I mean,
a bad moment, man. Just had one of those moments like where you're just like, we all get like,
I watch what I say all the time a lot because a lot of stupid shit comes to mind a lot. But I mean, you know, can't imagine having to watch what you say nonstop.
Yeah,
you know?
I kind of like, you know, once you kind of like take a step back and, you know, you start reading all those comments. Honestly, just reading all those comments, and I'm like, man, you know, you're still you fuck up, and sometimes that's how life is, man. And you just gotta you gotta forgive people, man. We all make mistakes, man. You know, we all say stuff. It's just we're just not. doing it in the moment because we're letting emotions get the better of us. But then again, when when just gotta.
Let's hear it. I'm interested now. I can see that look in your eye.
Sometimes, like when you're pissed off, just think about who you're starting to fight with before you like it's like being at the bus stop, I'm pissed off, but you're gonna try to start a fight with that guy. No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's always best to not when you're feeling pissed off. It's always best to just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I told him in that video, mute the microphone.
Yeah.
And it's not where I'm like telling him from a standpoint of like I don't know. I'm telling him from a standpoint I do know. I used to do a show with a guy that I like, but I just couldn't stand him, and it wasn't fun. And it would just get to that point where I just couldn't do it, like it's a headache.
Yeah.
And it became like where it felt like heavy lifting, and and sometimes it just you get into that mood where you're like, you're not in a good place, and the way that you come off isn't the way that you want to come off.
Yeah.
And like sitting in here, so I mean, I get it. Good thing for him is that, a lot of careers have ended because people say stuff at the wrong time or about the wrong person. And that's not this case. This case is like, hey, this guy's still on top, and I feel like there's some insecurity based off of like trying to impress Alabama people or trying to
please too many people.
Yeah. And it's like, man, just, laugh at yourself and do what you're doing and be proud of all the things you've accomplished, but don't take yourself so seriously, man. Like, just, like, fuck, you could have said the same thing in a way that was funny and everybody would have laughed.
No, yeah, that's right.
Could have said the exact same thing in a way that wasn't like so venomous and bitter, and no, everybody would have just been like, oh, that's funny, and so would Shank.
Mm-hmm.
That's the learning part of it.
Yeah.
But we're always learning.
Shit, you think about, he really hadn't been doing it that long.
Mm-mm.
And he's damn good at it.
He's getting paid.
Yeah, he's doing. I mean, he's one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
Just lighten up a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. All right, brother. Thank you. Great seeing you. I will talk to you next week through the video.
Let's do it.
I'm going to try to have some kind of a mixed drink and a Hawaiian shirt on just to make you jealous. Down in the Keys.
It'll probably be raining here.
Yeah, maybe it'll be raining. I don't know. Hopefully not where I'm at. Alamorada. Have you ever been there before?
Alamorada.
It's one of the early Keys, just past Key Largo.
I think I've been in a casino, Alamorada, before.
Oh, yeah. You told me that. Yeah. Now, how about Marathon?
Marathon. No, don't think so.
A little bit further up.
Don't think so.
You'd probably like, there's one key called Deer Key. You ever heard of this before? It's got
the deer all over the place.
They're small. They're like the size of dogs.
Yeah.
Would you want to shoot one of those, or would you just like let them go? Because I know you like to shoot.
I'm not a freak.
But what if you could, like, it would probably cost a lot less to get a taxidermy.
I mean, the point is to mount a big deer.
You don't want the little guy? That little fella?
No, I don't want something that reminds me of a wiener dog.
What if you just like made it a pet? You like deer a lot. Would you want to have like one that just like was like at your house?
No, because then I might not want to hunt them as much.
Like those little horses. Have you ever seen those little horses?
The miniature horses. My favorite are the goats that pass out.
Man, I had a guy I worked with one time, and he was like, somebody came in and they were like, "Hey, man, you're the guy, right?" And he's like doing broadcasting, and the guy was like, "Yeah, man, you're the guy that your mom's got those miniature horses." And his mom raised like bred like miniature horses.
Oh yeah, so at my in-laws' place, they got a cow up there. It's like it's really nice, really sweet female cow. Come up to the fence and like lick your hand and stuff.
And then you're like, I'm eating this.
No,
guy.
one of my buddies is like, does that make you not want to eat steak anymore? I was like, dude, the cow's name is Ribeye.
Shows you what we think here. You're making me hungry. All right. Well, that does it for the show, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Elephant in the Room, part of Roll Tide Pods, Disrupt the Media. Jay Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Let me remind you that the show is brought to you by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, up to $1,000 price match. Half of that using the promo code Next Round. And also, our show is presented by Lance's Lock, lanceslock.com. As you try to figure out who's going to win that Super Bowl, who's going to win the AFC and the NFC championship game, all of that stuff at lanceslock.com. So thanks to Jake and for you guys, and have a great weekend. And we will talk to you guys again really soon. And Roll Tide.